high blood pressure, bouts of anxiety, insomnia, and depression. An overwhelming sense at times that no matter what I do, it's never going to be good enough. I'm never going to be good enough. Or no matter how good my life is, I'm missing out. I should be there. I should be doing more. These are all symptoms of my self-diagnosed addiction. Now, my addiction might surprise you. It's not drugs. It is not alcohol. It's not cigarettes. It's not even my inability to say no when someone asks me to be a part of something. Hey, do you want to try something new? Do you want to help move this forward? Would you mind weighing in this subject over here? My addiction is my cell phone. And I know that sounds ridiculous. I'm standing here as an adult and I'm telling you that I have a negative relationship with my phone, that I have a hard time putting it down or not picking it up, that I have a negative relationship with the device that so many people will tell me can connect me with people thousands of miles away and cultures vastly different from my own. I can help manage my life better, manage my financials, set up meetings, send emails, send text messages, and I believe they can still actually make phone calls. Now, I'm not up here because I'm a doctor or a scientist or a researcher, a sociologist. I'm not up here because I'm an expert at any of this stuff outside of my own experience. I'm sure as heck not original. Okay? I'm simply up here because I'm passionate, and namely, I'm passionate about people and I want to get the conversation started. Simon Sinek says that our phones are like the biggest distraction we have, major distraction, right? Think about it. If I'm up here talking to you right now and I got it in my hand, you're paying attention to my phone in my hand, okay? Or how about we're just two people hanging out at the coffee shop or out in the park and I keep pulling my phone out of my pocket. Nope, nothing there. Put it back. Okay, it doesn't have to vibrate, it doesn't even have to make a sound. Just out of habit, pull it out and put it back. That's a distraction. Or have you ever been to a meal, right? Or even at the firehouse and people got their cell phones laid out on the table? You know that phone is there. Whether you're consciously paying attention to it or not, that phone, you're paying attention to it. It's a distraction. And just like Sinek says, just because you're out at dinner and you turn the phone upside down does not make it more polite. Doesn't make it less of a distraction because you can't see the screen. Okay? Well, let's talk about actually how these things are distracting us from what humans were meant to do from day one, and that's connect. That's interact with one another. That is to develop interpersonal relationships. Okay? And communication. How often have you been having a text conversation with somebody and somewhere in the mix someone got upset and you're like, whoa, that is not what I meant. Not at all what I intended. You're not reading me correct. Okay? Or what about when my wife, she comes home from a day and it's time to catch up. It's time to regenerate. And she's trying to tell me about her day and I'm like, what? What'd you say? Right? And that's on me. Like, I'm a jerk. I've done that more times than I'd like to admit, and she'd probably tell you all about it. Okay. But how about social media? Okay? There are people that are tearing themselves apart, tearing each other apart on Facebook, on these debates, simply because you have a difference of opinion because you came from somewhere else. Because you believe in something different or you're passionate about something different. Some of these people work for the same friggin' fire department. Some of them are across the country in other parts of the world. But you know damn well that if they were in that room together, they wouldn't be saying some of the things that they're saying. Right? It's our eye contact, our body language, our inflections in our voice. That's the truest form of connection and sympathy and empathy and compassion. How about our kids? Okay, I know as an adult, I haven't grown up with a phone. I didn't have to. My parents didn't have to teach me how to use one. I was an adult and could more or less make decisions for myself by the time I had a smartphone. But now I'm raising a young daughter and I think ahead, and that's going to be a challenge. How am I going to do that? Okay? I have friends that have young ones and teenagers that say that when they go out to dinner, they have a hard time ordering their meal. They're staring down. Hey, honey, go ahead, order. Well, I'd like to, instead of, man, I'd really like those chicken nuggets. That'd be awesome, right? Like, we need to be teaching each other how to communicate. Pretty recently, I had the distinct opportunity to listen to a phenomenal woman talk on suicide. Her name's Captain Dina Ali. She works for the Raleigh Fire Department in North Carolina. And while she was talking, I felt like I was being slapped in the face. Not because she actually accosted me or because I was offended by something she was saying, but she was talking about the myths that surround this thought of people taking a way out that they would have never considered before. That how selfish it is. Didn't they think about the ones that were around them? Didn't they know how it would affect the people that were left behind? And come to find out that these people that are having such a hard time, and I don't even know if that's doing true justice to that sentiment, actually feel like they are a burden on the world around them. Have you ever walked into the firehouse or the diner or the cafe or whatever event? And everybody was on their phone, right? You might not have physically or mentally thought it, but you felt alone. What was the first thing you did? Pull out my phone. Now I'm not alone anymore. I'm included. I'm doing what everybody else is doing. Have you ever seen somebody at an event come out of the bathroom looking for their friends? Oh, man, I don't see anybody. Pull out my phone. Now I'm not alone anymore. Right? Same thing at the firehouse, right? You walk in and day out. People barely acknowledge that you walk in. They're on their phones, doing whatever, playing a dumb game. Couple that now with people that are having an extremely hard time, and they don't want to pull us away. They actually feel like they are a burden on us, pulling us away from a game or a text message or whatever, right? Like, how about we try to actually engage in people and put that phone down for that 30 seconds and acknowledge that those people exist. Let's embrace one another. Maybe that's extreme. Maybe that's a little bit too out of left field. Okay? But it's happening. If we talk about the excuses that people use as to why they're on their phones, one of the main ones I hear is, well, I get to connect with people. Nah. You interact with people, sure, I'll get that. Now, there's video messaging and FaceTime. Maybe I'll give you a break there, okay? But think about it. If you're texting somebody and you say, hey, how's it going? And they text back, man, I'm doing pretty good. You have to take that at face value. But if you call them on the phone or you're in the room together, hey, how are you doing? You know, I'm doing okay. Whoa, what's wrong? You're reading their body language. You're connecting with them. You are reading that person and what they're going through at that moment. If we were truly connecting with people through our phones, right, I wouldn't have to be like, hey, honey, what did you just say? Or I wouldn't have to be like, whoa, that's not what I meant. We're not connecting, we're interacting. Or how about, well, I can actually now multitask. It helps me get stuff done faster. Does it really? Okay. If it really made me better, why are we killing people driving down the road texting or trying to get one more like? If nothing else, that screams of addiction that I have to be part of that conversation right now while I'm driving 70 miles an hour down the freeway. I know we're here to talk about cell phones and my problems, okay, things that I've seen, things that I see in other people. But what's one big thing that people are complaining about a ton today? It's millennials. They're ruining the fire service. Now, maybe I'm a little defensive because technically I am one. Okay, I get that, sure. Right, but are we really communicating with them? We're saying, well, they're entitled. They think everything needs to be given to them on a silver platter. Well, guess what, folks? Have you ever heard your parents, your grandparents great-grandparents, complain about the generation that came after them. Oh, they suck. But what else did they do? They sought the root of the problem and tried to fix it. Maybe they were successful, maybe they weren't, and they also realized that as products of our environment, they had a hand in bringing them up. So this millennial problem, we may have had a hand in bringing them up a little bit. Just maybe. Okay, but I think the first thing we need to realize in talking about our phones is that when they come to us and saying, hey, have you seen this video? We need to do things this way. How come we don't do it this way? I've read all these articles. Have you read these articles? It's all on leadership. We have terrible leaders. I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong. It's like, whoa, let's back up a minute. Okay? But then we need to realize that they are bringing this stuff to us because they give a shit, because they want more. They want to do more. And the answer to all of these things is to say, yeah, hey, cool, let's work on that. But now what? Let's put that phone down and let's go work through our problems. Let's go sweat together. Let's go figure out where it is that we're nailing it, where it is that we're missing the mark, and try to get better together. As it was said earlier, work is the answer. It's the shortcut. What am I getting at here? But saying the phone's terrible. No, I think the phone's actually pretty freaking cool. It's pretty amazing that we can do some of the stuff we can do with it. We can do a myriad of things. Okay? But I think we need to schedule time to disconnect. There are teenagers all across the country that are doing offline October and some things that are similar, right? Because they've realized that only seeing everybody's best life is not healthy. They need to put that away. But it's no different than being in a firehouse and me going to my boss and saying, hey, boss, you got a minute? And if they don't look up from their phone, I know the phone is now the most important thing in the room, and it's not me. It's no different with my wife. If we're having that same conversation and she sees me constantly looking up, I'm telling her without telling her that the phone is more important, or whoever it is that I'm talking to, or, Snake. We don't play Snake on smartphones anymore, but, like that's more important, and it's not. We need to schedule time to put it down. If we're out having a meal with our family, a loved one, that is a celebration, whether you get to do it all the time or not. If you got Rugrats running around the house and someone said, hey, I'll watch the kids, sweet, leave the phone in the other room and enjoy the moment you're having with that person. Friend, family, colleague, loved one, same thing in the firehouse. You're having dinner, you're having breakfast, cup of coffee around the beanery table, that is your time to connect. That is your time to solve all the world's problems. Be in that moment. Leave your phones in the locker, on the rig, I don't care. Connect with one another. A little while ago, I gave a talk on fireground tempo. And to some people's surprise, it wasn't about tactics or skills or, performing under stress. But it was about people and interpersonal relationships and how all of us together are the sum of the parts that make us successful in pushing towards whatever the mission is. Okay? We need each other. We have a whole faction of people that are having a really hard time, and we don't know it because we can't look up. We're doing this thing. Okay? You've ever heard the saying that it takes a village to raise one? It does. It takes all of us. If we're talking about the fire service, and we're talking about the one new probie or the whole class of new probies, it takes the village to raise them up the right way. It takes all of us to help one person heal mentally, physically, and emotionally. If you've taken nothing else from today and me screaming about the cell phone, it's terrible, it's ruining our lives, it's not what I'm saying, first off. But take the words of Battalion Chief Jerry Wells of the Louisville Fire Department, who I think got it from Chris Peterson, who's now the head football coach at the University of Washington, and be here now. If it's your time to catch up with your wife at the end of the day, be there. Leave the phone somewhere else. If you're having a meal, be in that moment. Leave the phone in the car. If it's time to train, go sweat together. Throw the phone out the window for all I care. Mind, body, and soul, be here now. I'm Zach King. Thank you for your time.